On today's episode of the No Gray Areas podcast, we're talking about first responders with Tony Rodarte, retired homicide detective and founder of Compassion Alliance, an organization dedicated to supporting first responders and their families. After 20 years on the job, Tony knows the toll being a first responder can take on your faith, humanity, and hope for the future. But today, we have an honest conversation about asking for help, the importance of support, and the right and wrong questions to ask the first responders in our community. Let's jump in. Tony Rodarte, welcome back to the No Gray Areas podcast. We're going to jump into your first podcast, your time with us, and why we have you back other than popular demand. You were one of our most listened to ones, so we appreciate that. But I wanted to start off by asking a really tough question.
Yeah.
And before we turn these mics on, I was prefacing this with you, and you were like, don't ask that question of a first responder. So what I was going to ask you is like, what was your worst moment as a homicide detective?
Yeah.
And you said, that's not a good question to ever ask, which I appreciate you informing me and our audience now of that. Tell us why that's not a good question to ask a first responder.
Yeah, well, for a couple reasons. That's ideally not the best icebreaker.
Yeah.
And secondly, be careful what you ask.
Yeah.
Because you might get an answer that you'll probably never be able to get out of your head. So it's really important for me as I share and we talk, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I universally never do, and I just don't share any specifics on anything that I've been dealt with. I have my own trauma in my life, and we'll talk about that. But there are things I've been involved with, images that I could share with you, and I promise you they would never come out of your head. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, nobody wins with that. So I do appreciate you asking it and reframing it so we can talk about it. And quite frankly, make it a learning experience for your other first responders.
So for our audience, we have a lot of first responders that listen, and then we have most of our audience aren't first responders.
Yeah.
What would you suggest if they're interested in what a first responder is doing? You know, we usually want those kind of stories because we're like, okay, give me like the really difficult story, the big story, but what's a better way to ask that question?
Yeah, maybe reframe it totally differently. Like, what is your biggest takeaway? What was the best thing you did in your career? Something like that. Just reframe it in a positive way.
So let me do this. I'm going to hit the rewind. Okay. Tony, what was your biggest takeaway as a homicide detective?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Totally kidding.
You set me up.
Yeah, no, I would say I feel like in my career in law enforcement, I felt like I genuinely made a difference. I truly do. We were involved in some pretty difficult things in a homicide unit, but I feel like my unit, we made a difference. We really, truly made a difference in the lives of some of these families that were negatively impacted through death.
Yeah. I think one thing, specifically what you dealt with as a first responder, as a homicide detective, and you're dealing with death all the time and having to go talk to families about death. How do you, because I know you now, and you're such a positive, happy, joy-filled person that if someone sat down and had lunch with you and didn't know all the stuff that you probably saw, how have you retained that? Or how do you not look at humanity with just...
I can answer that in one word.
Yeah.
Retirement. It was an absolute game changer for me. Yeah, my story is... I
didn't know you until after you retired.
Right, so you only know this side.
I'd be sitting with a different Tony 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I probably wouldn't be sitting with you 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, so the job impacted me greatly to the point where I had to retire.
Okay.
I was able to hit my 20, was able to successfully leave on my terms with a pension, but I was damaged goods.
Yeah.
And that's what started the Compassion Alliance. It truly came out of my story. But you fast forward now, I'm 7 years out of retirement. The world is a happy place once again. I don't see all the negativity like I did, but you're in that homicide role, and it's like Groundhog Day, and it repeats every single day. You're just dealing with a different family. You start questioning a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
What kind of things do you start questioning?
Faith. Start questioning humanity. You know, we took homicides over the most ridiculous things that somebody took a human life over. And you just find yourself scratching your head going, why?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be like this? But that's the world that we live in.
I often think that when we look at humanity, and especially you're a man of faith as well, so we both come from a biblical worldview, But when we look at humanity and we're the pinnacle of God's creation, we're created in His image. But of course, the beginning of the narrative, the beginning of the story, there's this fall and sin enters the world. But I think we usually, tell me if you agree with this, I think we usually make one of two mistakes when we look at humans. Either we start thinking like, oh, they're so bad. Like we see the news and we're like, oh, humans are so horrible and evil. Look what they did. But I always say, like, every time you see like that one shooting or bombing or whatever, you're talking about one or two people that did that.
Oh, yeah.
But watch closely, you'll see 1,000 other humans that are laying down their life or lining up to donate blood. And so I
100%.
think we go to one of two extremes. We either forget that there's a lot of good with humans because we're creating the image of God, or the other extreme, we start thinking like, well, everybody's good, and we have no idea how depraved and evil a human can be.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I fell into that first category. I just stopped seeing the good.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you're too close to the forest, you don't see the trees, and I just gave up. I'm like, because we're reliving this over and over and over.
Yeah.
And for a man of faith, that's a dangerous place to be. You start questioning a lot of things. So, like I said, for me, I had to retire. I was blessed enough to safely get through this career, and I had the opportunity to retire. It was a no-brainer for me. So I'm a new guy now. I'm a changed creation now, 7 years after the fact. So these are definitely different conversations than it would have looked like when I was in the thick of it.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that because we don't get to hang out so much because between the two of us, we both travel a lot.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
keep reaching out saying, hey, how about lunch or coffee? But when I do get together with you, you're just such a fun person to hang out with. And so it's hard for me to imagine that you were any different. But you're saying there would have been a difference if I would have known.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of these times we're going to get you to one of our presentations. You'll hear us speak. You'll hear Melody speak. You'll get the true story of what it was like and the impact that it had, not only on me personally, but on our marriage too. There was a time when our marriage was on life support.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys were going to church and you were in small groups.
We have been actively involved with our church.
So you had support systems and stuff, but still with that, you're still saying there was just
So those support systems were only as good as a person reaching out and making it work. But you can be surrounded by support, but if you never ask for help or if you never take advantage of that or if you never lean into it, you're never going to change. And that's what I was encountering. That's what I was going through. I wasn't willing to show any vulnerability. I wasn't willing to share the impact that it was having. So I was just going through the motions. And I'm lucky. I'm going to pause right now. I did this last time we had this podcast. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to pause and talk about my wife. Like, she's an amazing human being and single-handedly is the one that got me through this wacky, crazy job. And still to this day, like I'm absolutely blessed to have her. But I also acknowledge and realize that a lot of first responders don't have a rock of a spouse like I do.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that we're really leaning into with the Compassion Alliance and trying to help out.
By the way, we had Melody on this podcast as well. She is a rock star and she does amazing stuff. And she's a doctor here in Greater Phoenix and does some great stuff. But so back us up here. Why did you even go into that? We want to get into the Compassion Alliance and what you're doing now and how you're helping people. But I want to back up a little bit. With your own story, what brought you into law enforcement and homicide?
Yeah, so I appreciate that conversation or that question. I had always wanted to go into law enforcement since I was a little kid. And it's interesting because I've got adult children now. Excuse me. And for the longest time, they didn't know what they wanted to do. Yeah. I'm like, how? Why? What do you mean?
Because you knew.
I knew from I was a little kid. Melody, my wife, knew when she was a little kid she wanted to be a physician. Like we knew what the game plan was, what the framework looked like. So I knew early on, and I wanted to go into law enforcement because back then, like, it's just a good, stable job.
Yeah.
There were great benefits for a young adult. I was making okay money, and there was good job security.
Yeah.
There's never a shortage at any point in time of knuckleheads.
Yes, that's
like,
true.
There just isn't. There's always going to be a need for law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so I jumped into it kind of with my eyes wide open, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I started in patrol work, which is where everybody starts, working midnights, and then was lucky enough to get into investigations. And as soon as I, cut my teeth on investigations, I'm like, well, homicide, that's where I want to end up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no greater crime than the taking of a human life. There are some absolutely horrendous crimes that fall underneath that. But I thought, here I am. Let's go into the homicide world and see what that looks like.
Yeah. Is there a character quality or gifts or talents that you have as a person that really helped you in that? Like, did you like the interrogation part? Did you like the part about just trying to fit pieces of a puzzle together?
Yeah, I think I liked all of it,
to
be honest with you. And you get into really specified details like a homicide unit, You have detectives that are really good at certain things.
So
Really
you kind
good
of
at
start
interviews.
specializing in different
Yeah,
areas?
really good at phones, really good at writing paper, search warrants.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed, I enjoyed working scenes. Scenes were something I enjoyed.
Okay.
Kind of being that lead person that takes the scene and then kind of navigates what's going on and where you're at.
And what was it about that interested you? Is it, again, using that analogy of like you're trying to put a puzzle together?
Yeah,
Or?
like there's so many unknowns when you're first going into it. Like we have one known. We know we have a decedent over here.
Yeah.
But there's so many variables that are unknown leading up to that. And a good homicide unit works very well because, like I said, you have so many detectives that are really good at different things. Like we have detectives I say we, like I've been retired 7 years. When I present, I still talk about the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office like I'm there. I'm like, I'm long gone. But you have detectives that are really good at interviews.
Yeah.
And they'll jump in there and handle that.
Yeah.
Really good at the technology part of it. There's so many different components.
Yeah. When did you start to realize that this was taking a toll on you?
So I share with this, I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof about my first 15 years on the job. I would say it would be the tail end of that homicide unit. I got into homicide and was there for a few years and realized, holy cow, this is pretty savage what we're seeing and dealing with.
Yeah. Do you think when you say it's the tail end of that, was it the accumulation of all that building up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I took all that with me. And I had a wife at home who was saying, this might be a bit much. This might be time to talk to somebody. And I just come from that old school mentality where I just wasn't going to talk to anybody.
When was she starting to say that to you?
Probably about 15 years on.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say about my last 5 years, really my last 3 to 4 years, it started getting tough. But I knew there was an exit plan, and she gave me the grace to retire at 20 and then go get help, and that's what we did. I knew my exit plan was very, very black and white, and it was huge. I knew exactly what it was going to consist of. I just wish that I had listened to her and went and got help a little sooner.
Yeah.
Because this is what I learned in the healing journey. I'm not nearly as broken as I thought I was. I thought I was damaged goods. I didn't think I was repairable. And I learned very quickly in the healing process, I'm totally fine. I'm a little jacked up. I'm a little bent, but the right tools, the right person to talk to, and I was a new person.
Yeah. What, if you don't mind me asking this, what were some signs that she started seeing? And I'm asking this because I'm just thinking maybe there's some first responders listening or some of the spouses of a first or family of first responder. What were some things that you started noticing about yourself or she started noticing in these last 5 years of your career that were warning flags that you might need to get some help?
Yeah, I think the biggest one or the most noticeable one, and now that I'm talking out loud about this, it probably wasn't even the last 5. It was really the last several that were really tough. But absenteeism. I was becoming an absent dad. Like I wasn't involved. I wasn't at the sporting events. I wasn't at dinner.
Like you weren't even physically there or you weren't mentally there? Like you were there but not there?
Both of those.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Both of those. So there were a lot of times physically when I wasn't there just because of the call volume.
Yeah.
We just weren't around. Missed a lot of holidays, a lot of birthdays, anniversaries. But then when I was there, I really wasn't there because I really didn't want to engage socially. Didn't want to go out with friends. Didn't really want to go to my kiddo's sporting event because then I'd have to talk to people. The world became very, very people-y.
Would you have been able to articulate that at the time, do you think? Like if someone would have said, you don't seem like you really want to be here, would you have been able to identify that that was true at the time?
Oh, yeah, I knew it was true. I don't know that I'd engage in the conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe. Depends on who's bringing it to my attention.
Yeah.
You know, I have this conversation with Melody. If Compassion Alliance existed back when I needed help the most, would I have sought help then? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe not.
So you brought up, I think, a really important point. And this isn't just audience, please hear this. This isn't just for first responders. I think it's for any of us that need help, and we all need help at times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But you brought up that you had these when I was talking about like you were involved in church and small groups and stuff like that. And you said, yes, I was, but I wasn't reaching out for help. What was inhibiting you from reaching out for help? And what do you think inhibits others from reaching out to help? I think there used to be kind of a, in the first responders world, veterans world, there is this mindset of like, I'm supposed to be tough and you know, I can't ask for help. Is that still there?
There was, and it's still there a little bit, but it's changing. It's definitely changing, but it's still there. It's absolutely still there. I think for me, I just didn't know how to ask for help. Like I was never educated on that process. Nobody ever took the time to say, you know what? If you decide you want help, this is how you do it. Just do it, man. Find a good close friend, a coworker, a spouse, whoever you trust, and just ask for help. Just start at one person. Like I just never had those conversations, so I really didn't know how to do it or what to do. And in the back of my mind, I kept telling myself, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine. I'm not suicidal. Like I'm okay. I'll be all right.
Do you think the stigma, and you mentioned that you think it's changing some, but that there was a stigma of like, well, I got to be careful asking for help, because if I go ask for help, then I look like damaged goods.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'm going to go apply for another job, but they see that I've been in counseling, and then they're not going to want to hire me. Is that true? Is that kind of the way the mindset
So
goes
it really
sometimes?
worked like that back in the day. Like I went through the police academy in the 90s. It was a different world. The police academies are totally different now. And I'm confident we're having these conversations. We're talking about this stuff. But for my demographic, we weren't.
Yeah.
And we kind of grew up policing ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about this.
Yeah.
Like we're paying you to solve crimes, not to share your emotions. Like let's just take care of business.
My son and daughter handed me down, because my daughter was in the Marine Corps too, but they handed me down the Commandant of the Marine Corps always has a reading list every year. He's got like his top 10 books or whatever. And they know that I love reading. So they would give me books to read. And there was a book, can't remember who it was a sociologist. And he wrote a book called On Killing.
Oh yeah.
And
Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman.
Oh, you know this book then.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he talks about that whole, and he's mainly talking about soldiers, but I think we can go the same with first responders, where he's going like, we were really, really good at training people to do their job, like soldiers to go kill if they needed to kill, or first responders go do their job. But what we're not good at, when he was writing his book, is actually protecting or helping them when they come back, dealing with that human that's coming back from doing this job that we trained them to do well, that is now breaking them.
100%. Yeah, that's a powerful book. And I've been lucky enough to hear him present live at some other venues, and it's incredible what he's sharing, because there's so much truth to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of soul searching, as a soldier or as a first responder. Like as a first responder, I was constant. Like I had to ask myself, am I prepared to take a human life?
Mm-hmm.
Am I capable of taking a human life? My answer was yes. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't have stayed in law enforcement. You just can't. I'm not going to put myself in that position to get somebody else hurt, because I'm not going to react appropriately. But you never, you never truly know until you're in that encounter.
Yeah.
And you're going to rise to your highest level of training for that scenario.
And I don't know if I got this terminology from you or not on our first podcast when we were with us, or one of the meals that we shared together, but you were talking about protecting the protectors. I think that was you. And I love that terminology, that we train in every city and community, have these protectors that we have, these first responders, or we can also say soldiers if we're talking military. But they're the ones that are protecting our society and defending our society. But we have to protect them then, because as you're sharing, a typical first responder, whether you're a fireman or a policeman or a homicide detective or an ER nurse, you're dealing with a lot of times the worst moments in people's lives,
Hands
right?
down.
Like
Absolutely.
almost on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing some of the worst moments of humanity. And so just, again, I think of that accumulative effect. So you served for 20 years.
Yeah.
The number of things and the number of issues that you would have piled up over that time. And that's true of any first responder, isn't it?
And this is what the general public doesn't realize, just how violent the world is that we live in.
Mm.
Like when I share and we present, like I tell people, whatever that number looks like to you or whatever you think it is. So I'll tell you this, Pat. However violent you think the world is, it's 10 times worse.
Mm.
It truly is. Like there's things going on lurking in the evening that the general public has no idea.
Yeah.
The evil that's out there in our society.
Yeah. And that goes back to your point then. No wonder then, because you're dealing with that on a daily basis, no wonder you started getting a tainted view a little bit of humanity. Like you brought it up earlier, where you said like, man, toward the end, I didn't really see the good in humanity anymore. I was really looking around going, do people do anything other than just depraved things to each other?
You become calloused. You just get exposed to it again and again and again. And you just kind of like, I give.
Yeah.
Like if this is it, I give.
So how do you just brought up a term, you said you get callous to it. And I think the reality is you can't do your job as a first responder if you don't, like, like right now I'm stepping into a scene and I can't deal with all the emotions. I got to set them aside. I got to do my job. So you actually have to have calluses, quote
So
unquote.
I don't know that you need to be callous per se, but you have to be able to separate yourself.
Okay.
You have to be able to separate
What's the
yourself.
difference?
So I was really good. So callous, like for me, when I got calloused and I eventually got there, I didn't care.
Okay.
I'd given up.
Yeah.
Separating myself, it was compartmentalizing. So I would go home and I would try to be the best dad that I could, the best husband that I could. Like in my social circle, like I was never identified as a homicide cop. I really didn't have any cop friends. I don't want to talk about it. I just wanted to be a dad and I wanted to be a husband. And I did that as long as I could. I held out as long as I could. But at some point, the exposure is so great that you just kind of lose. You lose that. And that's when I became more callous. And I wasn't able to compartmentalize like I once was.
Yeah.
Or I thought I was, but my wife was calling me out going, no, you're not. Nice try.
Yeah. What made you finally go in? You've mentioned before on our first podcast that it was really your wife, and you hinted.
Yeah, it was 100% my wife.
Did she get to the point where she's like going, you go get help, or we're getting help together or something? Or like, was it?
My wife gave me an ultimatum.
Okay, she did.
She's like, you're going to get help or I'm going to leave you.
Wow.
And I wasn't willing to be left behind by her.
Yeah.
And so she gave me the grace to retire.
Yeah.
When she gave me that ultimatum, we were at the end. I had 18 months, maybe a year to go. And I knew I needed help.
Yeah.
She's like, look, you know you need help. I know you need help. Your children know you need help. We'll let you retire at your 20. But if you choose to stay on, you're going to be single.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed. I was having a difficult time making that decision for myself because there's a lot that comes with that. As dysfunctional as it was, like there's still some stability that comes with it professionally. Mm-hmm. But I knew I needed to get out of there. And she was amazing because that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Because if she left it to me, I'd keep trying to make it work, massage it into this thing that I could do both roles, and I couldn't. I had to get out there, and I'm thankful she did. I'm a changed man because of it. We're doing amazing things with Compassion Alliance because of it.
You are.
My marriage, we just celebrated 27 years because of that ultimatum, not because of me.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thank you.
my friend. Yeah, yeah. So when she gave you that ultimatum, was it an ultimatum to retire, or was it an ultimatum to get help, or did those?
Yeah, it was an ultimatum to get help.
Okay.
Which for me came with retirement.
Yeah.
So I wanted to retire and then go get help. She would have let me stay on as long as I was getting help.
Yeah.
I just severed it all.
Did you go, because I think this is important for our listeners to hear, and even first responders that are listening, did you go kicking and screaming, or at that point?
No.
Okay, so you went ready.
I was ready to go.
Receive help.
Yeah.
Which is probably an important part
of
you
have to
recovery,
be you have to be ready, and you have to want it, and you got to be part of the process, because if you're not, if your wife is making you do this, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
We get requests like that occasionally. We don't get many in the Compassion Alliance now, but I would have spouses reach out. I need you to help my husband.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. But is your husband ready for help? Well, no, but I'm ready. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. We'd be happy to help you, but I'm not going to help an unwilling participant. Part of your healing journey is owning it and realizing the time is now.
Yeah.
Which is also an important component. When these first responders reach out, we're making same-day touches. Like when I was ready for help, I was ready for help. Don't put me on the back burner. Don't get back to me.
Yeah.
3 days from when I say I'm ready to go. Perfect case in point, we took in 2 requests this morning.
Yeah.
One from Georgia, one from Iowa, same-day touches. Wow. It's important that we do same-day touches. Again, it all comes out of my story, but when somebody reaches help, the time is now. It's not, oh, that's great. That's an awesome decision. We'll get back to you in a week.
Yeah. So let's go to Compassion Alliance then. What did you see? I'm in a moment, we're going to come back. I want you to explain a little bit about what it is. You've touched on it some. But what was the gap that you saw, that you and your wife saw, where you're saying we need to create this nonprofit?
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode so far. Be sure to like and subscribe to not miss a future podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
I felt like, again, this all goes back to my personal story. And I want to be really clear here too. So I retired from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I bleed County Brown. I love the sheriff's office. They molded me into the adult that I am now. Mm-hmm. I'm confident had I asked them for help, they would have given me help. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't going to ask. It just wasn't in my DNA. It's very different now. I believe that, our younger demographic of our law enforcement guys are getting help quicker.
Yeah.
And there's more support. There's more agency support. It's more mainstream now. Is it totally mainstream? No, but we're at least going in the right direction. So all of that came out of my story, and I apologize. What was the first question to get me down this rabbit hole?
So you saw the gap.
Saw the gap.
What was the gap that you saw that you guys wanted to fill?
Yeah. So when I was at that darkest hour of my professional life, there was no hand reaching out for help for me. There was nobody advocating for me. There was nobody advocating for my marriage. And that's what we're trying to do. I apologize. We talked about that. These are still hot topics. And here I jump right down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it was just an entity, a person, an organization, something saying you matter, your marriage matters, your life matters. Like, let's get you some help.
Yeah.
And this is 7 years later. I'm still oddly emotional talking
Yeah.
about it. That's what we're trying to do. We just want to be somebody that advocates for these people because they're not broken. And that's a hot topic too. Like, it just kind of bent, just need a little bit of help. And that's what we're doing. So that was the biggest need. Just somebody, a safe place saying you have value. We care deeply about you. How can we help? How can we come alongside you? Mm-hmm. And then the other part of that, and that's what we're trying to do now, is just continuing to advocate for our first responders. Yeah. Just have these conversations like this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are much more mainstream.
Yeah.
These weren't, I wasn't exposed to them when I went to the police academy in the 90s. I wasn't exposed to these topics or these types of conversations.
Yeah. And they're so incredible. They're so important. We need them. And again, I go back to that line. We have to protect our protectors. We have to. We must. We must.
I share with our board, and they're probably sick of hearing this, but they're going to continue to hear it. I truly believe in the work that we're doing. We are saving lives. Mm-hmm. We are saving marriages. Mm-hmm. And I know we are. I'm getting the communication back from the first responders. We have provided services to first responders that have been on the backside come back to me and said, that prevented me from taking my life.
Wow.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
Because all the first responders we're helping, like they're stable. They're not suicidal. Like, there's a different set of rules you have to play by when somebody's suicidal. We're not getting that. That's not shared. We're just providing our service. We're loving on them. But then they come back and share that. Or they're sharing our marriage was hanging on by fibers, and we're now back together. I had this happen where we've been separated. We're now back together. Like, it's powerful stuff.
That's got to be so rewarding to hear those stories.
It absolutely is. And I share with my board. I don't share all of it because I got to be careful. Mm-hmm. I don't want to inundate my board. They're amazing, and we're able to do amazing things because of them. But they need this buy-in. They need to know what we're doing and the direct impact when we get together. And we pray over these first responders, and we're making decisions financially. This is the impact that we're having. Mm-hmm. This is what's coming out of that.
You know, you make me think of that passage. I can't remember if it's in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians, but this great theologian, philosopher, 2,000 years ago, Apostle Paul, wrote these letters to these Jesus followers in Corinth. And at one point, he talks about we're able to comfort others through the pain that we've endured. And we've seen that. All listeners, all of you have seen a time where maybe you went through a divorce and now you can walk with someone who's going through a divorce like no one else can.
Yeah,
or you lost a child and now you can walk with someone who lost a child like no one else can. You were a first responder and you're dealing with, so you running this organization and sitting down and picking up the phone or emailing back like you had today, some of these people, you're able to do that in a way that I couldn't, just because they know immediately you get me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You get
absolutely. Me. No, I know in a 30-second conversation whether or not you've been a first responder.
Yeah.
And we get this question too, oftentimes from donors, like, how do we know we're really helping first responders? Like, how do we know we're not taken advantage of? Like, we do a pretty lengthy vetting process, so that kind of is a safety net for us. But I know in a quick conversation, I know whether or not you've ever worn a badge.
Yeah.
Whether or not you've ever been on an ambulance or fire truck, or dispatch, telecommunications. We help out dispatch too. I believe that dispatch are truly our first responders. And I know from a very quick phone call with them, or even an email, you're answering the questions right. Yep, you've obviously done this job.
Tell.
Yeah,
you can tell.
You can absolutely tell.
I never have really thought about dispatchers, but just some of the documentaries you watch or something, and you hear a dispatcher having a phone call with someone in a tough situation, like, oh my goodness, the trauma they must deal with. I didn't think about that.
As a young deputy, I'm convinced that the actions of the dispatcher working priority traffic, we were working on murder-suicide in progress, and she saved my life. I would have walked into an ambush. But she heard what was going on in the background. She was able to get me information that changed my entry into the residence.
Wow.
And the suspect took his own life in front of me, but he didn't take my life.
Wow.
just from hearing, because they do these callbacks. You're working priority traffic. They'll switch you over to a channel. They've got one hysterical 911 caller on the call. You've got other callers doing playbacks, trying to hear what are they hearing in the background, other noise, are there other people? She was able to relay some information. I will never underestimate the work of telecommunications.
She saved your life.
Dispatchers. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And they're not thanked enough as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I truly believe they are the first responder. When neighbors pulling a child out of the pool, it's the dispatcher telling them how to do CPR, assuring them that the paramedics are en route, the fire trucks come in. Like when you've got that, a violent confrontation at your residence or somebody outside with a firearm, it's that dispatcher calming you down, getting all the details of what's going on and assuring that caller that help is coming.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I'm thankful they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do it.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that they can.
But if we just go off of one of them and use a theoretical story to help our audience understand what you're referring to. So, we've all probably seen the documentaries or the news stories where you hear a dispatcher talking to someone who's, screaming because they pulled their child out of whatever. Now they're going to go home and they're going to sit down at dinner, and they've maybe had 2 or 3 calls like that today or more. And they're sitting at dinner with their family, and they're supposed to all of a sudden shut that off and sit down. And you talked about where early on you could compartmentalize, but over time it was more and more difficult to do that. But as an audience that maybe isn't involved as first responders, just that scenario would help us maybe go, wow, that is got to be difficult what you deal with. Again,
yeah, absolutely.
Forcing to compartmentalize.
Yeah, and those images, they don't go away. Those calls, those voices,
sounds and,
everything. Like for our first responder, the smells on certain scenes, that never goes away. And then also for our dispatchers, and truthfully with our first responders too, fire and police and EMS, you don't always have resolution. You don't always know what happened. And quite frankly, most of them, I didn't always want to know. Like, I don't want to know if they perished. Like they were alive when we got them out of the car. Did it turn fatal? Probably. I don't personally want to know, but you never really have total resolution on what took place.
Or the resolution.
Yeah.
So Tony, tell us specifically, what does Compassion Alliance do?
Yeah, so we're a 501c3. We're based here in Arizona, which is where you and I are having this conversation, and we provide trauma therapy services to first responders. And we do this all over the country. Again, everything came out of our story. We thought we were going to be helping a few local first responders, and it's just morphed into this bigger thing because it's not an Arizona thing. Yeah. It's a United States of America issue with trauma therapy for first responders. So it's just continued to grow and grow and grow. We are in September. We are about 160 for the year.
Wow.
On people that we've helped throughout the country. We'll probably end somewhere between 175-ish, 200, probably closer to 175.
175 human souls. Their marriages may be different. The way they parent their kids may be different. How they interact with their spouse, with other people. Like you said, maybe even their physical life. Yeah. They might have been suicide. 175 souls.
Yeah, that's our 175 is our projection for this year, this calendar year. Like I said, we're just shy of 160 right now with the 2 we took in. And I'll share with you, like we can talk high level. I'm happy to talk like states. What I'll never share is like cities, municipalities, agencies, anything like that. But high level, it's
and why
it's
wouldn't
powerful.
You share that? I think it's important for our audience to know. Why wouldn't you want to share some of these details?
Because it's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know.
Are you trying to protect?
We're trying to protect our first responders, and we're not trying to. We are protecting our first responders.
That's what
and
I
we
think
will
is
continue
important.
to protect our first responders.
Yep.
They're not reaching out to us because they want that information to be disclosed to their agency or any of that stuff. So we share no details.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason you do. That's why you got into this, right? Is so correct me if I'm wrong, but when someone reaches out, let's say I was a first responder, I hear this podcast, I pick up the phone and I call the number that you're going to give us in a little bit, or I reach out via email, and I say, hey, I need help. You're going to do what for me? Yeah,
so it's interesting because the last time we had this podcast, which maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years.
3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
So we were handling it that way, email or give us a call. We don't even handle it that way based on the volume that we're getting. So we push everybody to our website because it's all tracked electronically. And that's our safety net to make sure nobody falls through the loops. We have to handle it that way. So even if we get a phone call or I get an email, I'm pushing them to the website. I don't handle any of that. The
Okay.
volume is way too much. Back when we started, they were coming in sporadically
Yeah,
here and there.
yeah.
I could handle it. I wouldn't miss an email, things like that, but the volume's too great.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? So when they reach out, we ask them electronically and through the automations that they'll get for 72 hours to hear back from me. And that gives me the opportunity to find and vet somebody in the state or city that they're requesting help in. Now, if they're in some of these states that we operate, we do a bigger volume in, it's a much quicker process. But they might reach out in a state we've never operated in, and that might take me more than 72 hours. And I just stay in contact with them because on the back end, I've got to find a therapist. I've got to vet them, make sure that they're culturally competent to work with first responders. I got to negotiate my pricing. I got to do a lot of stuff in the back end so that I can then do that email introduction between the first responder and the therapist.
So if that was me reaching out, if I was a first responder and that was me reaching out, you would get back to me then after you'd done all that work and you'd connect me to this therapist. But now so what Compassion Alliance is doing is you're going to pay?
We just pay for the services. So what that would look like is you would reach out through the website. You would get a same touch from somebody from the board. Most likely it's going to be me. And I'd say, hey, Pat, I appreciate you reaching out. You matter to us. You have value. Hang tight. Let me work on getting this arranged, and then I'll be back in contact with you. And then when I circle back, I'll do an email introduction between you and the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And then I introduce both of you. I supply our rules, if you will, and they're very basic, but they're spelled out. It basically says that I'm not going to pay for late fees. You can't go anywhere you want. You can only go with this group because they're vetted and verified by us. We've already negotiated pricing. I haven't verified any of your information, but they will.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very standard process. So I just kind of spell that out for them. And then I tell them, I'm really not going to be involved from here on out. You communicate directly with your therapist. Keep me off the emails for privacy. And I'm just here to foot the bills.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Those therapists will then invoice us, and we handle all the
So does
financial
that go on
parts
their
of it.
record?
No. So their agency doesn't even know.
So
Nobody
that's
knows.
such an important part,
Oh,
isn't
absolutely.
it? Because that's one of the things that holds a lot of first responders back
Yeah.
is, again, it's like, I've got 15 years left in my career, and I don't want it to look like I'm broken.
Yeah.
Ru-
No. And I tell people, you don't have to tell anybody. Occasionally we'll get a first responder that doesn't want to tell a spouse. I don't love that, but that's okay. If that's the only way we're going to get you help, it's okay. We'll meet you where you're at, and we'll get you help. But yeah, we don't disclose anything. Privacy is really, really important. We have this trust with these first responders, and quite frankly, it's taken us years to get there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jeopardize anything.
Yeah. Are you able to share? I get to what you just totally said about you're not, and I, man, there's so much respect for that you want to have their privacy in mind. But can you share a story, just leaving some just being generic about it, but a story of how you've helped a first responder?
So we did this podcast, and then we got a request for help that came in after this aired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share an audio clip that you're going to be able to hear. And it's for all the lawyers that are out there. We have consent. It's been edited. You're not getting names or phone numbers or anything that's going to be shared in it. But you're going to see the power of this retired first responder. He's talking about a talk, but it's the podcast that you and I did several years ago.
Wow.
This is what he shared with us. I want you to hear that so you see the rawness and
So
the emotion.
where you're getting that and setting it up, let me just review for our audience. So we did a podcast 2-3 years ago. You and I sat down. You were explaining a lot of things that you are, again, today. And this guy heard the podcast and reached out. And this is the type of thing that you get all the time. So the 175 that you're helping this year, it would be similar to this. But this is a recording of the guy that called.
Yeah, this is a recording. Again, I want to overemphasize we have consent to share this. And they're not all like this. They're not all emotional like this. But this was raw. This is what this guy was going with.
This guy was retired.
He'd been retired for a long time.
So he's been
because you
carrying
retire, that trauma doesn't retire. It doesn't go away. You don't
Yeah.
get to leave that with your agency. It comes with you.
And you can hear it in his voice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hello, and I'm a retired police officer. And I just watched one of your talks, and I need help. Please give me a call back. God bless you.
Yeah, again, this is an extreme example,
Wow.
a very emotional example.
Yeah.
And they're not all like that.
Yeah.
But I want your audience to know the outreach a podcast can have. You don't know who's on the receiving end of that. This is a guy who had been retired for a long time and just been carrying that trauma with him. And we were able to help him, and it's fantastic. But it's real. It's real.
And Tony, I hear the emotion in his voice, and I think it makes it worth it, doesn't it?
Oh,
it
absolutely.
makes it worth it. It makes it worth it for you. It makes it worth it for us, our team. We're going, if this podcast we've been doing it for 4 years now, and we have 130 episodes or so, if that one guy's life, that makes it all worth it. And we know that there's far more than one. Or for you with Compassion Alliance, if that one guy's life was all you impacted, it makes it worth it. But there's way more than that.
There's way more. You know, we naively started this process with Compassion Alliance the same year I retired. And Melody and I, my wife, kind of took the stance, if we help one person, it's worth it. Because there are days, full disclosure, I want to wave the white flag. It's a lot of work. Nobody told me how much work a 501c3 is, running it and what you have to do. And you look at the volume that we're helping. There's days when I don't know if I can keep going. But then we have these encounters and we get this feedback where lives are being saved and marriages are being saved. And we're like, it's absolutely worth it. And we will keep going.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. We have grown significantly since we both have grown.
Yeah.
Your podcast has grown significantly.
Yes.
Our organization has grown significantly since our last podcast.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. And man, Tony, Melody, I'll talk to your wife too, even though she's not sitting next to you, because I know she's the co-founder of this. And just thank you for what you're doing. There's a special place in my heart. Joe Gagliano, who this is his podcast, and it's his story. It's a special place in his heart. His dad was a police officer. Yeah. So he saw firsthand, what first responders deal with. But I have a special place in my heart for first responders, and I appreciate so much what you're doing. And I want to use that phrase again. We must protect our protectors. We must. What they see and deal with every day, gosh, we got to do something. And you're doing something. So I want to tell our audience, I'm going to ask you how they can connect with your organization. I know it's always hard to ask for money, so I'm going to ask for money for you. Compassion Alliance doesn't happen without donations. It doesn't happen. Like, what you're doing is you're providing free counseling and therapy for these first responders, but it comes from donor money. So
it's free for them, but it costs us money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want an organization to give to, Compassion Alliance would be a great one. And I know Tony and Melody, and I know they use the money well. And you talk about your dollars having an immediate impact. It is in this case. So how would people get a hold, whether it be someone who wants to donate, whether it be someone who has a first responder that they want to connect with you, or a first responder that wants to connect? Everything.
Whether you want to listen to this podcast, whether you want to donate, whether you want to seek assistance for somebody, it all goes through our website, compassion-alliance.org. You can find everything that you need on that.
Okay.
Compassion-alliance.org. And I also want to give you, for our audience that can see you, a shout out to that good-looking shirt that you're wearing today.
Yeah. I dug in my closet. I've almost worn this shirt out, though, because when I find a shirt I like, I wear it over
does
and
look
over
like
again.
It's been worn several times.
But yes, it's your shirt. I'm repping your organization.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So thanks for calling that out. I was going to, and I forgot it. So
it looks great.
Appreciate it. You should be a podcast host, Tony.
Yeah, no, that is your wheelhouse, man. I've got my hands full in everything else that I have going on right now.
You would be a good podcast host, by the way, though. We're a really good one. What keeps you hopeful now? I want to, before we have fun with the two truths and a lie, I want to end on a hopeful note. As we're wrapping up this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment on something you'll take away. All right, let's hop back into the remainder of the episode. What keeps you hopeful now?
Yeah, so my life has done pretty much a 180 on where I'm at right now. And quite frankly, the hope that we're giving these first responders gives me hope, and it's restored my hope back in mankind. There are really good men and women that are out there, and we're blessed to be in a position where we can offer some support, and that's really what keeps me going, because like I shared with you earlier, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that involve a 501c3 and decisions that are made, but the direct impact that we're having makes me smile and gives me hope.
Yeah, for sure. Isn't that funny? I think that's how God works a lot of times. He doesn't show us all the details. Like, he gave you and Melody a vision of something to start, but he did not say, let me show you how much work is going to go into this. Because you probably would have been like, we're out, no way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think a lot of times in audience, you probably all have stories too where God gave you like, hey, go do this. and you stepped into it and you had no idea where it was going to take you. But when we look back on that, that's kind of what you're saying. Even though it's a difficult ride and there's times where you just want to throw in the towel, as you said earlier, you still look back and you go like, what a ride, man. God,
absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, and organizationally, we're only as good as our board of directors. So I want to just pause too and give them ultimate thanks because they allow us to do what we're doing and to find that money and to make these contacts. We have an amazing board of directors who truly value first responders and care deeply about our mission. This is not Melody and Tony. This is a whole lot of people behind the scenes that care deeply about these first responders out there.
Yeah. Well, and I say thank you to them too. If they're listening to this, thank you for supporting.
Oh, they will be listening.
Yeah.
They don't know it yet, but they will be.
Okay, good. Well, I say thank you to them too, because again, protecting our protectors I'm all about that. So I appreciate what you're doing. So let's finish up and have a little fun here. 2 truths and a lie. I woke up this morning fully confident that I'm going to figure this out. You're going to give me 3 statements about yourself. 2 will be true. 1 will be a lie. I got to try to guess the lie. And it's a fun way for our audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was really hoping you were going to forget this. And looking at the time, are we okay to finish this or should we just cut it now?
No. We have plenty of time. Plenty of time. Nice try, though.
Okay. My 3 that I'm going to share with you. I was a hostage negotiator for several years with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office as part of my career. I have hit, actually I did a polar plunge in Antarctica on a cruise. And I have hit 49 out of 50 states. My quest to hit all 50.
Okay. So hostage negotiator, you did a polar plunge in Antarctica and 49 out of 50 states. All right. So I'm going to try to narrow this down. I think I know you did a polar plunge. You guys are just avid travelers. I think you did the polar plunge in Antarctica. That's true.
That is false.
Oh, come on. I'm so confident. Really?
So that's on our bucket list.
Yeah.
And we will hit it, but we have not hit that one yet.
So I knew that the 49 out of 50 states, I was going to go that one was true as well because you guys travel so much. So that one is true.
Yeah.
49 out of 50. What's the 50th state?
North Dakota.
Oh.
North Dakota.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
So we travel a lot with the nonprofit.
Yeah.
And then I also teach for the National Criminal Justice Training Center. Yeah. So we fly all over the country for law enforcement courses. I just haven't hit North Dakota yet.
Yeah. I just offended all the North Dakotans when I said, don't waste your time. I used to drive across North Dakota all the time growing up because we lived in Western Montana and I had grandparents in Minnesota.
Okay.
So we would take that drive every summer. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, it was so ugly because I'm from the mountains, it was flat. But as an adult, I drove through there and it was like all the cornfields and there's a beauty about it for sure.
I just don't want to visit it in the winter.
No. Definitely not. In fact, one of my stories, when we were driving across for Christmas, we stopped in Miles City, Montana, which is in eastern Montana, and it was abnormally warm. It was like 60-degree day. The next day, we stopped in Fargo, North Dakota, and it was 20 below zero. Oh. So like an 80-degree difference in 24 hours. So yeah. All right, man, you got me. That's good. That's good. So you did not do a polar plunge, but that's on your bucket list.
Yeah, haven't done it yet, but we'll hit it.
Can't wait to hear about it when you finally do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony, thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you for what Compassion Alliance is doing. And audience, please go support them.
Awesome. Right. Thank you very much.
Wow, Tony Rodarte reminded us of the importance of protecting those who protect us. If you are a first responder or you know one, we want to say thank you for the sacrifices you make day in and day out. This episode is a reminder to check in, support one another. Be sure to send this episode to someone you love. We'll see you next time on No Gray Areas.